I'm going to tell you exactly what you need to do less proposals. And it's going to sound kind of easy, but realistically, a lot of people just don't do this because we're so busy just doing the work and not really thinking about the work that we're doing. So to do less proposals, we need to really kind of understand why we're doing what we're doing. Our organizations need to win work. They need to win work so that they can have a backlog of projects for our subject matter experts to work on after they're done with the work that they're doing now. And that flow of business needs to keep coming so that it builds longevity and also helps the company grow exponentially beyond what, their goals are in per se. And that might be tracked quarterly, bi-monthly, biannually, just really depends on the goals set. Typically it's organized and tracked quarterly, but understanding how the big picture impacts the bird's eye, understanding what the big picture looks like so that you can understand how it impacts you is really important. I keep telling marketers when I meet them that instead of calling your subject matter experts clients, consider them partners in business. Because what you're doing is working with them so that they can have a project to work on and you can have a job tomorrow. So proposals is not just, okay, I just need to copy and paste information from a winning proposal and put it into the submission and then submit it with a fresh cover letter or some type of Frankenstein cover letter that includes information for multiple proposals. And that might get you a win, but that's not something that you should lean on, especially if you consider yourself an expert or somebody that is mastering the proposal and marketing experience in the AEC industry. Instead, take the time to strategize. I think that it takes 80% of the work to be a really good strategist and planner and researcher before you actually put it into production. And not only that, that always results in good quality content and good quality results for our clients. At FortisOBM, my marketing agency, we have a 74% close rate, which means that for all of the proposals that we help win, which is over 100 in a year, we win about 74%. Out of every 4, we win 3. And so if you're thinking about that in consideration, like, okay, so how many proposals do we win? Are you tracking that for your organization? Let's go back and look at the last calendar year. How well did you guys perform? What were the proposals that you won and what were the proposals that you lost? And instead of discarding the ones that you won and thinking, I can't really pull any data from that, why don't we find out what really connected with the client? Was it just compliance? I doubt that when it comes down to opportunities that you need to interview and present to. Instead, I want you to look at that and provide those key points to your subject matter experts and say, hey, we're starting to see that there is a trend. And when we win work because of these specific categories. Well, we need to lean in and speak more about that and do less of the things that we think are working. Because a lot of times what I'm seeing what firms are doing as a marketing consultant, working with big firms, small firms, even startup firms, is the same thing over and over again. They keep looking at their competition and seeing what they do and then replicating that. Well, guess what? Your ultimate client, the person that's putting together the proposal, putting together the RFP, doesn't really care about your competition. They care about finding a partner to do business with that's going to be the best fit for them. They could care less what your landscape looks like. They could care less how big you are, how great you are, how amazing you are. They really care about how are you going to show up and serve me? How are you going to make this experience on this project that may not be my first and probably won't be my last, a good experience? So I want to first start with the mindset work, why we need to do that, because it really does impact the delivery of the thing. I know what I'm sharing with you today might sound really hard to, understand. And you might think to yourself, well, then the more work we win, the more proposals I'm going to win. It's just like a cycle, Melinda. And I'm telling you right now, that's not true. If you start to hit certain markers, you start to ease up and start to focus on strategic and intentional activities in your marketing department that move the needle further in different areas other than proposal development. And the more work that you win on specific strategic ones, not just saying that you should, win proposals that are worth less than what your average or your standard average should be for each opportunity. No, we're going to start to lean towards winning work with a higher dollar value, and not, just let go of that fear or that stress that comes with, like, well, we've never done this before. Or listen, like the big firms, and I've done it before, so I know that it works. Like, the big firms are putting together conglomerates of projects that they've done to get that they've done similarly for that specific opportunity to be competitive. So if you're thinking to yourself, well, our portfolio is full of like $1.5 million projects or $100,000 projects, depending on what sector of the industry you're in, then why don't you consider what areas, like what type of projects were they? What were the results that we got from the programs that they were? How did we, solve problems that actually the ultimate client cared about? I consider in Thrive Build our entire avenue, our entire universe of Thrive Build, we focus on Chad, and we consider Chad to be the ultimate client. So when I continue talking about the ultimate client, I'm going to refer to Chad. So Chad, it has a 9-to-5 job on top of looking at the RFPs, on top of reading your content, on top of going to selection committee meetings, on top of managing budget and trying to gather and collect budget from different financial agencies. And so it's a lot of responsibility for him. And the last thing that he wants to do is try to figure out what you're trying to tell him. Instead of trying to create this beautiful proposal that's aesthetically pleasing, which is important, I also want you to lean in towards what the content looks like and how you're being intentional about every single word that you're putting into the proposal. Even the infographics, even every graphic, every photo, everything. Why does this matter? Why would it matter to Chad? Because it matters to your competition to put that information. They're not the one hiring you. Your client is. So being more strategic, strategic in terms of finding the information, asking your subject matter experts if this is a repeat client, going back to them and asking them, hey, how did it go? What did you learn? What did you experience? And they might not have that top of mind, but that's why it's really important to have intentional conversations with your subject matter experts at all times of the year. Like, just have check-ins, connect with them, go to coffee, go have lunch, like make sure that you're getting out of your marketing department balloon so that you can see the organization as a whole. Being strategic, going on social media, website, going to specific events that public entity or private entity is having, so that you're starting to understand what their world looks like and you can respond intentionally and intelligently. Stop copying and pasting, please. Like, stop putting the same information from one proposal to the next, to the next, to the next. If you think, especially this is for subcontracting firms, if you think that it's enough to take your information that says your about us, your mission, and your services, and copy and paste that into every single opportunity that your prime has you submit for, tell me why you're doing that. Because it's just an easy button what you're doing. You're not taking the time to tailor it to the RFP because you think, oh, well, we have a small part in the whole project. But in reality, when you're thinking about hiring a team yourself, like say if you're renovating your kitchen, you need a contractor, and the contractor hires different people. And you need to make sure that everybody is working the same way so that it flows great. Now, if you have one person that just shows up and is not prepared, or he just kind of gives you like the generic, the baseline of excitement and energy, and everybody is just so celebratory, that person is going to stand out like a sore thumb. And they're a part of the team. So it doesn't really matter if you're a sub or you're a prime. You still need to put the same amount of effort in the content that you're delivering. So taking the step and just tailoring. I mean, tailoring messaging is such a lost craft. And I feel like we lean on copying and pasting or, pulling from somebody else instead of using our beautiful brain to create something that is going to speak that's going to connect the client to your content. And so this means that if you have a paragraph about your business, about your company, that you take the time and you just say, you know what, the things that matter to this client, after reading the entire RFP, by the way, is this. And I'm going to make sure to include that because that is what we do. We're not trying to fib anything, but we're trying to highlight what's important for our business so that our client understands and can relate to what we do. Lean into who Chad is. Like I can't stress this enough. And once ThriveBuild is fully up and running, go to thrivebuildaec.com and join our mailing list so you can be the first to know about this. But once it's available, everything is going to be about this ultimate client because the whole journey is about the client. When you have repeat business, that means that they're happy or satisfied with your service. And I emphasize satisfied because that doesn't mean they're happy. That means that they're satisfied. And if you actually go look and Google this, the term satisfaction. Satisfaction just means that they're okay. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to just be okay. I want to be the best. So I want exemplary. I want extraordinary. I want to be the best, right? So thinking about that when you're getting content or feedback from your clients is really, really important. Highlight what Chad cares about. So highlighting what Chad cares about in your proposal is really, really what it's all about. Okay. So can I just share with you, if your BD&C or E&R ranking is in your proposal and Chad doesn't care or he has no idea what that means, then that's going to be really hard for you to lean in. What does that mean to your organization? What does that mean to him? Why is that valuable? Because you do a lot of work, or it doesn't mean that you're exposed to the type of work that he is asking you to do? Or does it mean that you have experience in the type of programs, you have a deep bunch of lessons learned to share with him? Like lean into why does that matter to him? Every single response to every single question in an RFP or an RFQ, SOQ, whatever it might be intentional that you're responding to someone that has an intention to ask you a question. They're not just asking you a general question, you copy and paste, and that's our standard boilerplate copy, but take the time to tailor it and massage it so that it makes sense for that specific person. It doesn't take long. It really doesn't. You're going through the effort to create a project management plan, I hope. And if you're not, you can go to FortisOBM and you can download the project management plan for free. But doing the project management plan is really going to help you say, okay, where can I tailor? What can I massage and edit and adjust? Post-pandemic, there has been so much change. I've seen from the outside looking into the industry that there are firms that are popping up left and right. There's so many new firms in the industry, as well as merged firms, like mergers and acquisitions that are happening left and right at each sector: construction, architecture, and engineering, as well as the medium-sized firms are starting to grow. And so what this means that there's a lot of evolution happening in our side of the industry, but not to mention what's going on for Chad and his team. Chad might not be, moving on to another role. He might be really satisfied in his specific position, but he have experienced something completely different because his clients actually have a different demand or a more exposed demand than what it was before the pandemic. The same thing for if he got promoted or he moved on to another agency or another firm or another company. Like all of that means that I need to now lean in as a marketer and find out what's going on. And if I can't get that information from internally, I need to go to a networking event. I need to invest some time to go to a town hall meeting, or I need to go to a community event just so I can learn more about what Chad's challenges are so that I can speak more eloquently in our proposals. So these are some tips to help you do less proposals. And I understand that you probably are trying to do this and you're saying to yourself, Melinda, I have 3 proposals that I need to submit this week. I really don't have time to be tailoring. I'll tell you right now, it's got to start somewhere. If you continue to use the excuse that you can't change the way that things are, which are in your ability to change, then you're going to continue to feel a specific type of resentment and stress and anxiety because you're not taking the time to actually apply energy towards something that's going to shift and change your world. I'm telling you this because I've done it. I've done it several times and I've seen the success and progress of that. I've helped teams double in size. I've helped firms add a new office. I've helped those type of things, and still yet doing less proposals because we got really intentional about how we were speaking to our clients. And so we were going after the bigger projects and winning more work so that it would sustain the teams and so that we could be more strategic down the road with who we wanted to work with. So I hope that this was really helpful. And honestly, this is kind of like just a girl to girl conversation. I hope that this provided you a lot of valuable information. And if you have any questions or comments, go ahead and put them down below and I'll make sure to reply to them. Stay tuned and subscribe so that you can get the update about the next video that drops next week. See you next time.